How's it going, YouTube? This is Skul, and this is my gaming setup video. So, a year ago, I made a video showing off my game room, and not much has actually changed since then. R2's a little more done, but my collection is about the same. Maybe it's grown a little bit. Definitely the layout hasn't changed all that much, so I decided this time around I would just show you what my setup is. Go into a bit more detail about that. Actually, maybe not as much as I would have thought. This is actually my third time shooting this video. The first time I couldn't get the lighting to work properly. It was all a big glare, so here I'm just using the natural lighting in the room. And the second time I shot it, it was way too long. The finished video would have been over an hour if I had edited it properly. So I'm going to try and speed things up a little bit here. So let's get the speediest parts out of the way first. In this corner of the room, by my big wall of games in my R2, is an old Windows 95 that I used to play old CD-ROM games, mostly edutainment games. And in this corner of the room by my blue screen is a small setup where I have a NES hooked up to this little TV, as well as a Sega Genesis that doesn't work and I can't get to work properly. But if you were wondering where my NES was, it's over here by this corner, right underneath my lightsabers, as is usual, as is typical in the usual house. And here is my computer setup. I've got my gaming chair by eWin, provided to me for free, thank you to them. I used this lamp and that lamp to give me good lighting with this old Logitech webcam. It only does 720p, but it does what I need it to. That's a 28-inch 4K monitor. That's a 24-inch 1080p monitor. My computer tower is down there. It runs a GTX 1070 GPU, a Ryzen 7 CPU, and 32 gigs of RAM. On top of that is my Nintendo Switch and headphones just on a little hook that I can take off whenever I need to. Up on top on this shelf is my Xbox One X, my PlayStation 4 Slim with a 2TB external hard drive, and Dio, because every gaming setup needs Dio. Anyway, so everything is powered through these two switchers. This one is a 2E switcher for my PS4 and Switch that goes into the Elgato. The Elgato plugs into this, which also is a plug for my Xbox One X and my PC. So by just pressing a button there, at any given time, I'm able to swap between my PC and any of my gaming systems. And if I want to stream or record my Xbox One X, I just swap that into the Elgato slot. But to do that, I would need to downgrade the internal quality to 1080p, and I like playing in 4K. And I don't play the Xbox that much on stream anyway, so all's good. And of course my 3 controllers for each right up here, all charging except for the Xbox, which uses batteries. Basically, at any given point, I am able to reach over and start playing whatever I want, stream whatever I want, in a heartbeat. And onto my gaming setup. I could spend hours talking about what I've done here, but you guys don't want to hear every single thing about what I've done with this. But as you can see, I have this nice entertainment center. I'm sure a lot of you are going to ask where I got it from. I don't know. It's been in my family since I was little, for at least 20 years, and now my family's no longer here, I use it for my gaming setup. It's incredibly sturdy, and it works perfectly great. As you can see, all my consoles are either on top, inside, or underneath the TV. It makes a nice little symmetrical look, and that cabinet right there is completely unused, so if I add more consoles in the future, which I definitely plan to, I can just take the door off like I did with that one and throw them down there. I got all of my controllers over here. Just, you know, whenever I want to play a specific console, I grab a controller, plug it in, and there you go. I got my Wii balance board there. These controllers are actually special. These are what I use to drive around R2. So, yeah, whenever you see R2 moving around in any of my videos, these are the controllers I use. They are PS3 Move controllers. And this is what I use to power everything. I use these two 12-plug surge protectors with 8-foot cords, and they're both completely full. I got a lot of stuff plugged into them to make this work with the press of a button or two. So, they're full, but it's not an electrical hazard by any means, as long as I have just a few things turned on at once. And, whenever I add more consoles, which again, I'll put there, since they have 8 feet cords on them, I'll just plug them in another plug in the room and, make them hug the wall all the way over here. And now, for the consoles themselves, I'm going to go over what consoles I have, and then tell you how I will, or how they go plugged into the, just realized, oh no, the game's fine. Okay, I guess that was just a, long pause for Yoshi's Island. Okay, so the consoles I have: Atari Jaguar, original Xbox, Xbox One, Wii U, Nintendo Switch, this is the Let's Go themed version, Xbox 360S with an HD DVD player attached. That's just a serial receiver for my record player. Nintendo Wii. This is the original console, so this has the ability to play GameCube games. Or I guess that would be up here, wouldn't it? Yeah, GameCube games. This is just a cassette player that I have for whenever I want to listen to cassette tapes. This is an Intellivision Tandyvision exclusive to Radio Shack that doesn't work. We got these two little hats here. You might recognize them, and these hide the speakers for the record player. We have my GameCube that I had growing up, outputting HDMI, my N64, PS2, the final fat model released, an Atari 2600 routed through a VCR, a Sega Genesis and 32X, a Super Nintendo, a PS1, and a PlayStation 3 Slim. So I'm sure you're all wondering how this is all routed into the TV, and I spent a lot of money and took a lot of time making sure all this is wired up so that I can play whatever I want with the press of a button. And I've ended up using 3 different methods total to make that happen. Actually, I guess 4. So the easiest one is HDMI. Every TV now has an HDMI receiver. I'd be shocked if any of you don't know what HDMI is. And I have a total of 8 things actually going into the 2 ports on the TV using these 5-way HDMI switchers. So each of these actually has 4 in them, so I have room for 1 more each. And let's see, this one also has the Chromecast plugged into it, so it's just a first-gen Chromecast that can't really do much, but I like being able to sit down and watch stuff in here sometimes on this nice screen. Forgot to mention, this is a 32-inch Sanyo 1080p screen. I could definitely upgrade to 4K if I wanted, but I just don't feel like it. This is a great screen for me. Let's see, so I have 8 things total going into the 2 5-way HDMI switchers, including the Chromecast, so I guess 7 consoles. Actually, 6 consoles total. One of the things that goes into the HDMI switchers is this. This is an open source scan converter. If this thing will focus, there we go. So that's what this device is. Basically, it takes old consoles and upscales them so it looks just this crisp. You see how crisp this looks? You might think it's an emulator. This is not. This is an actual Super Nintendo, completely unmodified, going through the OSSC, open source scan converter. And it goes through using one of these. Let's see, which one of these is not in use? This one. So this kind of connector was very common in Europe and Japan, never really made its way over to America. It's called SCART, and it provided a much better image quality than we ever got here. It's basically as good as these old consoles could ever look. And, yeah, so I have 3 consoles running through SCART. That would be the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation 1, and my Genesis/32X. And they're all able to go through this Hama AV Selector 100S. It's a 3-way unpowered switcher, and they go from here to the OSSC, and from the OSSC onto the TV. And the OSSC also takes Composite, which is the, well, let's see, we've got, this is Composite, so red, white, yellow. So what Composite is that, but it takes the yellow and splits it up 3 more times to red, green, and blue. So I've got a few consoles that are running through a component switcher, which is this right here. So running through component is my original Xbox, my PlayStation 2, and my Nintendo Wii. And whenever I want to play component, one of those consoles, I just tell the OSSC with a little remote control what to output. Right now it's outputting this. So it's no different than when you're trying to change the channel on the TV. Just power on whatever I want, tell the OSSC which channel to be on, and it'll output to the TV. Easy peasy. So then I also have my composite stuff, which is not the best quality of video, but for a lot of stuff it's the best it can do unmodified, including my N64 and my VCR and my Atari Jaguar. Actually, my Jaguar can do, it can do SCAR, I just haven't bought a cable for it yet. I will definitely need to upgrade that to like a G-SCART or something eventually. If you guys want more information on getting the best possible quality from your game systems, then check out My Life in Gaming on YouTube. They are so full of information, and they are responsible for me spending so much money to get the best possible picture on pretty much everything you see here. Anyway, so I actually have my Atari 2600 routed through the VCR, so whenever I want to record or stream from it, I just I plug the VCR into my capture card and get to play whatever I want. How did that get there? One more really nice thing I have is this Game Boy player that I used to play all non-original Game Boy games, so everything on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. It's connected directly to the GameCube, and thanks to some custom firmware and a HDMI Cube HDMI solution, I'm able to output it to the TV and look at how sharp those pixels are. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's just amazing to me that that's a real game. That's not emulation or anything. It looks so good. And for my original Game Boy games, I used this Super Game Boy 2, which is a peripheral for the Super Nintendo that plays Game Boy games. And as you can see through the open source scan converter, it just looks absolutely gorgeous on my screen. And a lot of original Game Boy games, including Pokemon, use these special color palettes that you won't be able to see anywhere else, even on the Game Boy Color. So for a lot of these games, the absolute best way to play them is with the Super Game Boy 2. So, for when I was completing my Pokédex in Pokemon Yellow, for example, that's how I did it. Just sat here on my couch and did that. And if you're wondering why the PlayStation 1 is on its side like this, original PlayStations have a tendency to fry their lasers, so putting them on their side, or even putting them upside down in some cases, can actually help them perform better. So it's actually Velcroed there, so I can take it off whenever I want, but it's also good and tight, so it won't go anywhere, it won't shake itself loose. And I played a lot of PlayStation 1 games that way. Some of them I played through my PlayStation 2 instead, but I'm just a fan of playing games on their original console, which is part of why I have a Wii when I also have a Wii U. To wrap it up, I guess I'll go over all my handhelds, or I won't actually go through all of them. I have a lot of stuff that is collector's stuff and I just keep in the box. But I'll go through most of them, I guess. I have my Game Boy Brick, 3 Game Boy Colors, including the limited edition gold and silver one. I got 3 DS Lites, including a Diamond and Pearl themed one from Pokemon. 3 GBA SPs, including this AGS 101. As you can see right there, that means it's the better screen. And probably my prized possession in my whole collection is this Pokemon Latios Latios limited edition Game Boy Color. And for wondering what this peripheral is, that's just a wireless adapter for the Pokemon games, if it would ever decide to focus on it. There you go. And on the shelf beside that, let's see, we've got a few of my 3DSs, including my very first 3DS, this Pokemon X and Y Blue 3DS XL, my PlayStation Vita, gathering some dust, a limited edition 2DS, Toys R Us GBA, which is the same kind that I had growing up, some Pokemon distribution cartridges, no one will care about that. And I guess that brings our tour to a close. So, thanks everyone so much for watching. I had a lot of fun showing this off, and this was a lot more concise than the last time I shot this. Also love my Primarina. I just keep her on the couch because I don't have anywhere else to put her. But I hope you all enjoyed. I'm looking forward to maybe doing a true game room tour next year. But in the meantime, I'm just going to lounge on the couch, play some games, Looks absolutely amazing. Remember to check out My Life in Gaming. They're responsible for everything looking this pretty. And by that I mean they gave me the information I needed to spend way more money than my wife would like. Let me know what your favorite game console is of all time, or what I showed off here. And that pretty much does it. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next year with my game room tour. Peace!